Hey there, thank you for joining us. This is the first in a series of videos that will rate and provide information for some of the most popular hikes in the DC metropolitan area. The first trail that we will cover in the video today is the Billy Goat Trail. It's located on the Maryland side of the Great Falls National Park and is broken down into 3 sections, with Section A being the most scenic and fun in my opinion. The trail is 4 to 5 miles depending on where you park and if you take the side trail to see Great Falls. Give the trail a rating of 4 out of 5 for difficulty. The trail is relatively flat and doesn't really have any elevation gain. However, a good portion of it is rocky and there's some rock scrambling and exposure. The scenery is 5 out of 5. There's historic structures, the Potomac River, ponds, panoramic views, and solitude's a 1 out of 5. The trail is super busy in the summer and on weekends, and I would consider the trail a 5 out of 5 for accessibility. There's 2 parking lots that provide access, as well as public transportation that gets you within a mile of the parking lot. And for the really of interest, you can even bike in from DC. Here are some of the highlights of the trail in case you don't want to sit through and watch the whole video. You'll see the historic C&O Canal, waterfalls, there'll be rock scrambles, sandy beaches, ponds and streams, and of course panoramic views of the Potomac River and Virginia. In our next section, we'll go over how to prepare for your hike and go over some compressed video of the trail so you have a good idea what kind of terrain you'll be going over. Before you leave your house, be sure to check the status of the trail on the National Park website. The trail follows the Potomac River, and whenever the river floods, the Park Service tends to close the trail. Also, be sure to pack all the hiking essentials, such as a couple liters of water, snacks, sunscreen, first aid supplies, your phone, and sturdy shoes that you don't mind getting dirty. And the first aid kit that's in the picture, that's actually not what I take hiking. It's just for illustrative purposes. Here's a map of the trail from Google Maps. If you park across from Old Anglers, you'll have to make a right and head upriver after crossing a bridge going over the C&O Canal. You follow the towpath for a mile or so before you go under a bridge and reach the start of Section A. If you park in the Great Falls National Park parking lot, you'll head towards the Great Falls Tavern Visitor Center, and then from there you'll head south along the C&O Canal. On the way, you'll pass the trail that goes to Great Falls and Overlook before you see the bridge that's right after the start of the Billy Goat Trail. Also, here's Olmsted Island Trail, highlighted in orange. This is the trail that takes you to Overlook. If you've never been to the park before, I highly recommend that you take the side trail to see the Great Falls. It only adds about half a mile if you're parked in the National Park side, and only about a mile if you parked across from Old Anglers Inn. Finally, the purple shows the Billy Goat Trail. You can see how it follows the Potomac and goes south and till it turns back and meets up with the C&O Canal. Here's the compressed video to provide you context and show you what type of terrain you'll be going over. I do slow down around the points of interest. So here you see one of the lock houses and the locks. The lock is pretty much gone, but when the locks were operational, they would have someone living in the lock house, and whenever a barge would come up, like the person living there would open and close the locks for the barge. Not too far after Lock House, you'll come up to the bridge going over the canal. Just on the other side is the beginning of Billy Goat Section A. We'll actually continue a little bit farther up to the Great Falls Overlook so you can see what that looks like. Here we have an overlook of the Rocky Islands. The second left after the overlook will be the beginning of the Olmsted Island Trail. That's the trail that takes you to Great Falls. It also takes you past two smaller waterfalls, Little Sister Falls and Baby Sister Falls. Here you see Great Falls. Here's a little bit of information about the Billy Goat Trail. The trail follows along the Potomac River on Bear Island. The trail is super popular, so it's well established and you should have an easy time finding your way. If you need, the trail does have light blue blazes. You'll see the blazes on trees and rocks, and whenever you see two blazes next to each other, that signifies that there's a turn in the trail. Here we get to the first rock scramble. It's important to just do what you're comfortable with. Some people prefer to walk in between the ridges of the rock formations, and others prefer to walk on the ridges. Personally, I find that walking on the ridges is a bit easier. Here's a rocky traverse that the trail is known for. This video actually makes it look a lot more exposed than it actually is. Pretty much what I find works really well for me is just jamming my foot inside the corner and then using my left hand to brace off the side of the wall. And here we see the exit path that takes you back to the C&O Canal if you decide you do not want to continue on the Billy Goat Trail. After the next rock scramble, we arrive at Purple Horse Beach. Just be careful on your way down. The rocks leading down to the beach are well polished, so they're often slippery and covered with sand. I've also seen a bit of poison ivy in the area, so it's worth it to keep your eye out for that as well. Next, we pass a few ponds and a stream. I was lucky enough to run into some geese with their goslings at one of the ponds. Next, you'll come up to a rocky outcropping. It has a really nice panoramic view of the Virginia side and the Potomac River. Lastly, before my battery ran out on my camera, I came up these two nice looking trees. If you made it this far, thank you for hanging in there. If you have any comments or feedback, please let me know. Here's some bonus pictures of animals I've seen along the trail.